You know that feeling when you buy a specialized kitchen gadget?
Oh, yeah.
Like, say, a pasta maker. You see it, you imagine these amazing dinner parties, the fresh flour, the whole, authentic experience.
You use it maybe once,
Once, maybe twice. It's messy, it takes 3 hours, and the pasta is fine.
and then it goes into the back of the cupboard.
Exactly. It gathers dust. So take that feeling, multiply the cost by about $1 billion, and put it in the corporate office.
Uh-huh.
That is basically what we're talking about today. We're looking at this arc of new tech adoption, specifically with AI in the workplace.
It's a pattern we see, over and over again. A lot of excitement, a lot of hype, followed by this quiet, very expensive drop-off.
We're diving into a phenomenon that an AI thought leader, Johan Steyn, he calls it the Copilot paradox. We're trying to figure out why the rollout of Microsoft Copilot, which, let's be honest, was supposed to change everything about how we work.
It was supposed to be revolutionary.
Right. Why it so often starts with a bang and just ends with a whimper.
And this isn't just about feelings or anecdotes. We're looking at Steyn's analysis, but we're also pulling in some hard market data from late January 2026.
Yeah, we've got reports from Reuters, Computer World, Tech Radar.
Because there is this massive disconnect right now between the sales numbers and what employees are actually doing day to day.
So the mission for this deep dive is pretty simple. We want to know why the buzz turns into boredom.
And the answer seems to be in the gap between knowing how to use a tool and knowing what you should use it for.
Which sounds like a tiny difference in wording.
But it's actually a multi-million-dollar problem.
So let's start with the bang before we get to the whimper. If you just look at the headlines from late January, things look fantastic for Microsoft.
Oh, absolutely.
Satya Nadella came out and dropped this massive number for Microsoft 365 Copilot.
Right. 15 million annual users.
Which is huge. If I'm an investor, I see 15 million, I think, okay, done deal, adoption is solved, everyone's using it.
It sounds like a landslide. It's designed to sound that way. That's the official momentum narrative.
Okay.
But you have to be really careful with a metric, like users. What does that even mean? Is that someone logging in every single day or someone who clicked the button once by mistake?
That is the catch. And looking at the piece from Computer World, they're hinting at exactly that. They noted that organizations are buying all these licenses.
In bulk.
But they're really struggling to turn that spend into, what was the phrase, sustained value.
Sustained value. That's the key. It's easy to get someone to try something once.
Sure.
It is incredibly hard to make them rely on it. Tech Radar said something similar, that for the vast majority of the Microsoft 365 base, Copilot still isn't a daily habit. It's a premium add-on.
It's the pasta maker again.
It is.
It's a luxury item, not the stove. You need the stove every day.
Precisely. And that's the core tension here. Microsoft is saying this is becoming a daily habit. But the reality on the ground, the reality Johan Steyn sees when he goes into these companies, it's completely different.
Let's talk about that reality, because there's this lazy assumption that if people aren't using new tech, it's because they're stubborn or they're just anti-AI.
Steyn is very clear on this. That is not the problem. People aren't anti-AI.
They're excited at first, right?
They're very excited. There's this honeymoon phase. Town halls, demos, everyone gets the training. They learn where the buttons are, how to summarize an email, that sort of thing.
So they have the capability.
They have the capability. But then, almost immediately, usage drops off a cliff. And Steyn argues this happens because of something he calls the training trap.
The training trap. Okay, break that down for me. Because if I'm a manager and I've paid for my team to learn how to use Copilot, I feel like I've done my job. Why is that a trap?
Because you've taught them technique, but you haven't given them any intent.
Okay.
Think about it. The standard training is all about features. Here's how you prompt it to rewrite a paragraph in Word. Here's how you summarize a meeting in Teams.
Right, click here, take this. It's very mechanical.
But that training doesn't tell the employee which paragraphs need rewriting. It doesn't tell them which meetings are important enough to summarize. It doesn't show them how to fit that button into a high-pressure, real-world workflow.
Okay, can I push back on that a little bit?
Please.
Is it really that complicated? If I know the tool can summarize, can't I just figure out for myself when to use it? Or maybe the tool just isn't that good yet. I've used it. Sometimes the summaries are hallucinations. Maybe people just stop using it because it gave them garbage output a few times.
That is a completely valid point. And you're right, reliability is absolutely part of the friction. But Steyn argues the psychological barrier is actually deeper than just it made a mistake. He calls it the optional tool syndrome.
Optional tool syndrome.
Yeah. Think about your own workday. You're stressed. You have 3 deadlines breathing down your neck.
Right.
Are you going to take time to experiment with a tool that might work, but might also hallucinate and force you to spend 20 minutes fact-checking its work?
No, absolutely not. I'm going to do it the way I know works. I'm defaulting to the safest path, even if it's slower.
That is the crux of the paradox. Without a clear mandate, without a defined process for how and when to get it, Copilot stays optional.
And when stress goes up.
Optional tools get abandoned. Stan also says that employees often don't even know what good looks like in this new AI world.
What do you mean by that? What good looks like?
Well, if you write a report yourself, you know the quality. If Copilot helps you write it and you submit it, are you taking a risk?
Will my manager trust it? Will they think I was lazy?
Exactly. If there isn't a clear, defined standard for AI-assisted work, then using the tool feels like a personal career risk. So people just revert to the old way.
That makes so much sense. It's not laziness, it's risk aversion.
Correct. So you have this situation. 15 million licenses sold, lots of capability, but very low actual utility. The buzz has turned to boredom because nobody knows what the mission is.
So how do we fix it? If the generic, here are the features, training is the trap, what's the way out? Steyn talks about something called the ideation layer.
The ideation layer, yes. This is the missing piece of the puzzle, the link between knowing the buttons and actually doing the work.
Okay.
Steyn's argument is that companies need to stop focusing on features and start focusing on design.
Design implies structure, intent.
It does. He suggests that for every single role, leadership needs to sit down and identify 3 to 5 specific, high-value business problems, not general tasks, but real pain points.
Okay, let's get concrete. High-value business problems sounds like corporate buzzword bingo. Give me a real-world example. What does this actually look like?
All right, let's take a classic one. Inconsistent proposal quality.
Oh, I know this one well. You have 10 people on a sales team. You get 10 different types of proposals. Some are great, some are terrible, some use branding from 3 years ago.
Exactly. Now, the training trap approach is to give all those sales reps Copilot and just say, hey, you can use AI to help write proposals now. Good luck.
And what happens?
Chaos. Total chaos. One person prompts it with write a proposal, and Copilot invents services you don't even offer. Another one says, make me sound smart, and it comes out like a Victorian novel.
And the sales reps get frustrated, spend hours editing junk, and then they just stop using the tool.
They abandon it. That's the failure state.
Okay, so walk me through the ideation layer version. How should we handle that instead?
With the ideation layer, you don't just hand them the tool, you design the entire workflow.
Okay.
Leadership, or maybe a center of excellence, creates a specific governed template. They build a prompt library that says, when generating a proposal for product X, you must pull data from this verified data sheet. You must use this tone guide. You have to include these 3 mandatory compliance clauses.
So the employee isn't staring at a blank chat box anymore, just guessing what to type?
Not at all. They're basically clicking a button that runs a pre-designed, pre-verified sequence. The ideation layer turns AI from a kind of creative suggestion box into a workflow engine.
That is a massive shift in thinking. You're taking the ambiguity, maybe even some of the thinking out of the prompting process.
You're taking the risk out. Steyn gives other examples, like summarizing compliance policies. Instead of just telling Copilot to summarize this, you build a workflow that specifically extracts risk factors, compares them against internal company guidelines, and formats it all into a standard table.
So the goal isn't just use AI. The goal is solve the compliance bottleneck.
Exactly. The focus shifts from the tool itself to the business outcome. You start measuring success by shorter cycle times, fewer errors, less rework, tangible things.
But this sounds like a lot of work. Setting up templates, building prompt libraries, verifying data sources, that's way harder than just buying the licenses and hoping for the best.
It is hard work. But Stan's argument is that it's the only work that actually matters. The installation is easy. The adoption is hard. And this gets us to the business imperative.
Right. Why do companies need to do this hard work?
Well, for one, these licenses aren't cheap. Copilot is expensive.
Very expensive.
And this is where we see the investor pressure coming in. We looked at a Barron's analysis of the situation, and the mood on Wall Street is definitely shifting. The enthusiasm phase where companies bought AI just to say they had it, that's over.
They want to see the receipts now.
They want to see the ROI. Investors are looking at these enterprise AI sales figures, and they're asking, okay, you have 15 million users. Are they producing 15 million users worth of value, or are we just burning cash?
And if the answer is, well, they used it to write a funny poem about the office coffee machine, That's not going to go over well.
No, that stock price is going to take a hit. There's a very real risk of churn here. If organizations can't prove that sustained value we were talking about, they're not going to renew those licenses next year.
So the pressure is really on leaders to move from look at this cool toy to here's the new mandatory workflow.
Mandatory workflow is a strong phrase, but
Yeah.
yeah, it might be where we're heading. Steyn calls them governed scenarios.
I want to pause on that idea of governance for a second, because as we're talking, I'm realizing something that feels a little ironic.
What's that?
Well, think about how AI was sold to us. Unleash your creativity, your intelligent co-pilot. Brainstorm with an alien intelligence.
Right. All about possibility.
It was all about this open-ended exploration. But what we're saying now, what Steyn is arguing, is that to actually make it useful in a business, we have to strip all of that away. We have to template it, restrict it, and tell employees exactly when to press the button.
That is the co-pilot paradox in a nutshell, isn't it? To make the intelligent partner safe enough for work, you have to turn it into a rigid automation script.
Yes.
You know,
If I have to define the prompt perfectly and verify the output and lock it into a template, am I really collaborating with an AI, or am I just building a slightly smarter version of Clippy?
it raises a really interesting, almost philosophical question about the future of work. Are we using AI to help us think? Or are we just using it to generate content faster? If the ideation layer is only about efficiency, we might lose that serendipity that made the tech so exciting in the first place.
But maybe that's the trade-off. Maybe the workplace isn't the right place for serendipity. Maybe it's the place for fixing inconsistent proposal quality.
I think you're right. I think Stan's point is that until you fix the boring stuff, the proposals, the summaries, the emails, you never earn the right to do the really cool, creative stuff. You have to build the trust first.
So the path to the AI future isn't some magic portal. It's through a really well-designed checklist on a Tuesday afternoon.
Boring, but true. Utility's boring, but utility is what pays the bills.
So for everyone listening, if you're staring at that Copilot button and you feel like you should be using it, but you just don't know why, maybe it's not you. Maybe your organization hasn't built that ideation layer yet.
And if you are a leader, stop training features. Start
Yeah.
designing workflows. That is the only way out of this trough of disillusionment.
That feels like the perfect place to leave it. We've gone from the buzz to the boredom and hopefully found a roadmap to actual value. Thanks for diving in with us.
See you next time.